Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on modern business. We're going to break down the essential professional domains that really make successful companies tick, and finally make sense of all those complex frameworks that tie everything together.
Look, if you've ever felt like you're just drowning in this alphabet soup of acronyms, Prince2, TOGAF, ITAIL, you are definitely not alone. It can feel so overwhelming. But trust me, understanding what these things actually do, and more importantly, how they connect, that's the key to making a real impact in your career.
The best way to think about all this is like building a house. You wouldn't just start throwing up walls and hope for the best, right? No way. You need a solid foundation and some really strong pillars to hold everything up. Well, a successful organization is built in exactly the same way, and it rests on a few key ideas that we're about to map out.
And here they are. It really boils down to this. We can group all those confusing frameworks into three simple, straightforward pillars. First, you've got to set the strategy. That's your blueprint. Second, you deliver the value. That's actually building the thing. And third, you run the operation. That's all about maintaining the house once it's built. So let's break down what's really inside each one.
Okay, let's dive right into our first pillar, strategic direction. This is all about the high-level thinking, the big picture. It's where you decide where the entire organization is headed and then draw the map to get there. So, the first domain we find here is enterprise architecture. Just think of this as the master blueprint for the entire organization. It's the practice of making absolutely sure that your technology, your processes, and your people are all pulling in the same direction, perfectly aligned with your business goals. This is what steers the ship during huge changes, like a massive digital transformation.
And what this gives you is something incredibly valuable: strategic clarity. It hands leadership this single, unified view so they can make much smarter decisions. It guarantees that every single piece of tech is actually supporting the strategy, which, as you can imagine, makes the whole operation run way more efficiently.
All right, next up under strategy is IT governance and compliance. So if enterprise architecture is the blueprint, you can think of governance as the building codes and all the safety regulations. It's the set of rules and processes that make sure your technology isn't just supporting your goals, but that it's also secure, compliant, and critically protecting customer data.
So you end up with this amazing dual benefit. You get alignment and safety. Good governance keeps your IT focused on what really matters to the business, while also keeping the entire organization safe. And let's be honest, in our digital world, protecting data isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential if you want to avoid massive fines and protect your reputation.
Okay, let's move on to our second pillar. We've got our strategy all set, so now it's time for value delivery. This is all about execution. It's about turning those big, ambitious ideas into real, tangible products and services that people can actually use.
And the engine that powers all of that value delivery is, of course, project management. This is the discipline that organizes all the work. It's about taking a big strategic goal, breaking it down into manageable projects, and then making sure those projects get done right, on time and on budget.
And the benefits here are huge, way beyond just checking tasks off a list. We're talking about maximizing your return on investment, being able to adapt when things inevitably change, and bringing some real clarity to who is doing what. It just removes all the guesswork from creating value. Now, working right alongside project management, we have business, process, and analysis. This is basically the practice of holding up a mirror to the organization. It's all about creating a clear, visual map of how your company actually works, step by step, so you can see what's going well and, maybe more importantly, where all the problems are hiding. When you can actually see your processes laid out like that, you can instantly pinpoint the weak spots, the bottlenecks that are wasting time and money. Fixing those inefficiencies leads to huge savings and allows the whole organization to react so much faster to what's happening in the market. Now for a really modern piece of this value delivery puzzle, DevOps and Site Reliability Engineering, or SRE. These aren't just frameworks, they're really cultural shifts. It's all about breaking down the walls between the software developers and the IT operations teams so you can build, test, and release software faster and, crucially, more reliably. And what does this all lead to? Speed. But speed without sacrificing quality. And you get there by encouraging intense collaboration, by automating everything you can to reduce human error, by testing constantly, and by measuring everything with clear data. Honestly, for any modern software company, this is pretty much non-negotiable. All right, we've set our strategy and we've delivered the value. But now we have to maintain it. And that brings us to our third and final pillar,
Operational excellence. This is all about the day-to-day running of the business. Keeping the lights on and making sure the customers are happy. At the heart of operations is IT Service Management, or ITSM. This covers the entire life of all the IT services your company and your customers depend on. Everything from the help desk that fixes your laptop to the incredibly complex systems that are running your website. ITSM is about managing all of it, and managing it well.
At the end of the day, ITSM is all about providing reliable, high-quality services. It standardizes things so you know what to expect, but it also has a built-in focus on always getting better. The goal isn't just to meet customer expectations, but to constantly find new ways to completely surpass them.
And finally, protecting this entire operation is cybersecurity. This is the shield. In a world where every single company relies on digital tools, this practice is absolutely vital. It's about actively protecting your systems, your data, and your services from an ever-growing list of nasty threats. The benefits here are pretty much existential. I mean, strong cybersecurity protects you from direct attacks, it prevents your services from going down, and it lets you recover quickly if the worst does happen. But just as important, it protects the one thing that can be the hardest to get back, your reputation and your customers' trust.
So, there we have it. Our 3 pillars: strategy, delivery, and operations. But the key thing to remember is that these are not separate silos. They are deeply interconnected, and the real magic happens when they all work together seamlessly.
Let's just take a quick, simple example, launching the new mobile app. Okay, under strategic direction, enterprise architecture makes sure the app fits our tech goals, and IT governance makes sure it's compliant with all the rules. Then, in value delivery, project management gets it built on time, while DevOps automates the rollout. And finally, in operations, ITSM manages the app as a live service for users, and cybersecurity protects it and everyone who uses it from threats. See, they all have a critical role to play.
So, understanding how all these different domains fit together, it isn't just theory. It really is the blueprint for how successful organizations work. It's how they become efficient, agile, and resilient. And for you personally, knowing where you fit into this big picture, well, that's how you grow your career and make a much bigger impact. So I'll leave you with this question. As you think about your next project, or maybe your next career move, take a look at these 3 pillars. Which one needs your focus right now? Which one holds the key to your next success?